Okay, hello. Welcome back to the week 8. So this is the first part of the week 8, and we are going to talk about trees. Okay. This is our objectives for this week. We are going to study the tree data structure, and it's going to be most important data structure. Not the most, but it's important, right? It's important data structure in the second part of this entire course, okay? Particularly, we are going to focus on the structure and the operation, as always, of the binary search tree, okay? So this is a key binary search tree. This is the thing that we are going to focus on, okay? See, so the objectives are this. First, you have to memorize some definitions, terminology, and characters, okay? And after that, you have to understand the structures of trees, and then you have to understand the structure and how it is related to the operations of a binary search tree. For instance, insertion, search, and deletions are usual suspects of our interest, and furthermore, here we are going to talk about the tree traversing operations. So it's really different from the insertion, either insertion, search, and deletion. Might be somewhat similar to search, but so it's a kind of unique operation of the tree and graph. So this traversing is the first operation that you are going to encounter in this week. And after that, you have to understand the performance of the binary search tree so that you can understand why we are paying so much attention to this binary search tree. Okay, so today we are going to talk about a lot of trees. So first, you have to understand the concept of the tree structure. After that, I'm going to introduce how you can implement it. Okay, so concept. Before we talk about the concept, so tree is an abstract data type, okay? An abstract data type that we already covered in the previous week says this: an abstract data type is an abstraction of a data structure, right? So we have a data structure and it's an abstraction. So basically, briefly, if we go over, an ADT abstract data type should specify three of these. First, data stored, okay, data stored, and how we can search, read, and insert and delete from the data stored. And furthermore, error conditions associated with the operations, which we are not going to cover in this entire course, okay? So we are really interested, we are just limit ourselves to the data, how to store data and how to operate on the data set, okay? So example is this. So ADT, abstract data type for modeling a simple stock trading system, is this. So data should store the buy or sell orders, okay? So this small circles, okay, so I'm going to raise a little. Yeah, this nice option, okay, good to know. So we have to have a data stored by or sell orders, okay? And the operation should support order buy, order sell, means that we can put it in the side, and void cancel means that we should be able to get out something, okay? And error condition, we have an error conditions, which we are not going to cover. So, but data stored, what is stored and how to store or how to delete the stored data set, these are the focus of the interest. Then how we can do that in the tree structure? That's the key question, right? Before we go further, let's talk about tree as an abstract data type. So this is a tree structure. It's an abstract data type. It's a tree, right? And data, how data is stored? That's a question as a tree structure. Basically, what we are going to do is we have this tree, and in each important part of this tree, we are going to make a leaf, okay, leaf and branches that store the data like this. Okay, so that's our goal. operations are insertion, deletion, and search. And furthermore, there is a special search method called traversing for trees and networks. Why is that? Because previously in the linked list structure like this, searching, like let's imagine that we are getting all the data from this linked list. In that case, we can just iterate from the first node to the second node and third node. It's a linear and there is no choice but to move forward. There can be choice of move backward, but there is no incentive for that in terms of getting all the data from this list, right? So there is only one way of going forward in terms of getting all the data from this list. However, if we encounter the tree structures, there is no only single path, right? Means that we can take this path, it's a single path, all right, but we can take this path or we can take this path and so forth. So it means that we can diverge from one direction to another direction, and there is a further more directions as we reach to the end of this tree structure, right? Means that we need a special traversing, special getting all the data out method that's called the traversing, okay? So we are going to understand the traverse method. Basically, the tree structure that we are going to show is really upside down, right? Okay, upside down, and here we are going to call it root because it's root. That's where the root is. And then after that, from this root, we are going to imagine that data are divided by over the branches and up to the leaves. So this is called root, right? And this is called leaves, okay? And singular leaf and so forth, okay? And this is called branch. Here and here, okay? Actually, so that's if resemble to this tree structure, this is how it is going to be handled, modeled in our actual data structures, right? It's similar to the linked list, but the change is that we have one more next reference, right? Previously, when we don't have two references, but a single reference to the next. In the case, we don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this. So it's just a linear list. That's what happened, right? And this time, because we have two things, we have two references like this, right? We have two references. We have an exponentially increasing next items. Here we just have one items. Here we just have two items. Here we have four items. All right. Why do we use trees? So I get the idea of how we are going to store the data in the tree structures. But why we use this? Before we go further, first of all, natural things like real-world trees. Trees are sending all the waters and all the important minerals to the leaves through these stems, right? And basically, these trees have a lot of leaves, and this tree structure is maintaining all those leaves, and we're going to learn from this natural thing. Having said that, actually in the real world, humans have adopted these tree structures in various types. For instance, this is the military structure, this is the corporate structure, right? And this is some kind of categorization going on. It's called corporate structure here, and group bank account structure here, and command and control structure in military here. All uses somewhat similar mechanism of tree structures. So tree structures are kind of universe, right? Why so people are so favored about this structure? Because we can approach the problem with divide and conquer. And actually, we already talked about divide and conquer in the previous slide set. All right? Why do we do the divide and conquer? Divide and conquer is a natural approach to cut down the large complex problem into smaller pieces. Right? Into smaller pieces, when you cut down, then your problem gets smaller. Means that you have to solve you only need a small answers. So it means that if we keep cutting down all the big problems to the smaller problems, then at the end of the day, you are going to handle only small things, and recursively, right? Recursively, you will be able to handle large structures. That's the basic concept of the divide and conquer. And tree structures is the best example of the divide and conquer. Means that if this person is going to run this office, means that this person is going to delegate his responsibility to several other small branches. And then these branches will handle also small problems, right? This basic concept of the divide and conquer. And this tree structure supports this division at this point, at this point, at this point, at this point, this point. When we cut down this structure, this looks like a small tree structures. That's the repeating problem. That's the recursive approach. And we know how we can divide and conquer with the recursion mechanism, right? So that's the recursion, divide and conquer. This is natural approach to our large complex problems, and tree structure is the best example of this. And this small branch is going to be a little tree here, like this. So this is a big tree. We have a small tree here, and we further have a small tree here. So isn't it nice? So that's why we use the tree structure, right? So the structure of the stored data is here. So linked list looks like this. We have head and tail like this. It's just called next, 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 and you will see how the data is stored linearly. In the tree structures, we have a node here, and it has 4 next. And each 4 next have one more node, which have also 4 next. And the next node is here. Sometimes there might be no next, right? It happens in the linked list, right? And also in some case, we have next, like this. And this next, the next of the 4 elements can happen, right, at the same time. So nothing different, really nothing different. The linked list, which we have been talking about so much in our previous lectures, have only one next. The tree structures, we are just linearly expanding that to have 4. It has 1 next, right? And this has a 4 next, right? And this 1 next and this 4 next, this will make changes in the structure wise. Having said that, fundamental mechanism using the reference to get to the other nodes doesn't change, okay? So alternative structure of this tree structure is like this. So for instance, rather than having the 4 next, you might have just one children node, children reference to this tree's child, and it has this to get to the child reference like this. And then after that, by using this reference, we go to the next of next of next. And this also can be used next of next of next, like this. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this happens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4 references, means that we have 32 references here. Rather, in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 reference here. So it's much simpler, but it's a mixture of the tree structure and the linked list structure. So it's just an alternative structure which we are not going to use in this week and in this lecture, in this course. Rather, we are going to focus on this type, but in industry, when you have many next references, this alternative structure is used. Okay, so just I'm telling you that.